got a question I want to ask you. Being
Yes,
from
sir.
Queens and coming up in the 80s and having the love for hip hop, what were you feeling and what was it like in Queens at the time when MC Shan came out with The Bridge, then the beef started with BDP and they came with The Bridge is Over? What was that like in Queens back in the 80s when that was going on? How did you feel?
So MC Shan used to come up to August Martin every day because his girlfriend went to my school as well. So he would be up there to pick her up. And I was in the crew with LL Cool J. So I would approach him and talk to him. Me and him got to be real cool. And this is before the Juice Crew even set off when he had that record. I didn't feel any type of way about it. I liked KRS-One at the time. I felt like he was dope. He was different. I actually felt like he was more lyrical than Shan. I didn't think that was a battle Shan wanted to play around with. But he was specifically talking about Queensbridge. It didn't really pertain to Corona. And later on, when we started recording with G Rap, they used the same studio. We would be in Power Play Studio Room C, which was his own environment. And KRS liked to record in the daytime. We recorded at nighttime. So we would always pass each other with sessions, and they'll leave when we're coming in. And I remember in one instance, G-Rap asked them, because there were little subliminals being put in the records, and we didn't know if he was going to G-Rap and Polo. So G approached him, and he was just like, nah, man, we cool beans, man. If I had something to say, I would, talk to you directly. I ain't got no beef with you. So it was left there. Like, G-Rap never talked about going at him, outside of that. Once they shook hands on that, it was done. Whatever was going on with Shan, that was just Shan and them, But Queens, I think people underestimated Queens a lot. The rappers, but there was some ill dudes out there, even the Super Lovers. They went out to Harlem. I'm real good friends with Tito from the Fearless Four. And so they went to the Disco Fever. They were having, when the Fat Boys got discovered, they were hosting competitions. And so the Super Lovers, Quicksilver and the Super Lovers, they went out there. And Tito was like, yo, bro, them dudes tore that place down. He said, yo, we were awed. We didn't know Queens was like that. And then Mo D started going to school in Long Island, college in Long Island, and he talked about how he would venture out to Queens to the park jams just to feel the temperament. And he said the same thing. Tito was like, that dude came back and was like, yo, them cats out there get busy, man, don't sleep. So I think they felt that way about Brooklyn and Queens. We were kind of on the outskirts with Harlem and Manhattan and the Bronx. We're being promoted more, for the known rappers and stuff. But Brooklyn was just as raw. You know what I'm saying? I spent every weekend I was in Brooklyn and Bedford-Stuyvesant, Roosevelt Projects. So I knew what was going on there with Master D and a bunch of other cats in the neighborhood, So it was interesting. It was an interesting dynamic, but it didn't impact the rest of Queens. People out in Jamaica could care less about what KRS was saying about Queensbridge. They could care less. Half of them probably didn't know what Queensbridge was. So, got to set aside watching it, just feeling it out.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that about Queens. I thought everybody in Queens hated The Bridge is Over and BDP for that.
Nah, I was. A lot of people liked it. People loved the record. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, love and hate. It was the thing where Shan had to come back and respond to it. That was his beef. So he was getting challenged. And whether he stepped up or not, that was going to be on him because other dudes who were ready to go at KRS, they the real dudes that could get busy would went at him. They could care less. So I don't think it had a real impact.
Coming up in this incredible era, man, that you were a part of, 80s, Queens, New York, and all this hip hop stuff. How accurate were these cultural movies like Wild Style, Beat Street, Crush Groove, and things of that nature?
Wild Style is the most accurate. Yeah, I would say Wild because they use actual artists who did stuff. It was like a raw film. No one knew what they were doing, so they got actual performances and things. So I'm gonna put Wild Style at the top. Everything else, man, was cool. Good. Crush Groove was cool because they had one of them in there. But they gotta stage stuff to make it look like it's so easy, and it just kind of happens overnight, and that's never the case. We all know that. But everything else seemed kind of corny. I love B Street, but there was a lot of parts were just a little over the top. You know what I'm saying? I don't recall anything happening to that nature. I've been in similar situations, but yeah, I saw some of it just felt kind of buffoonery. But Harry Belafonte did a great job at trying to put it together to promote the culture. So from that aspect, I respect and love it all.
So Wild Style, you say, was the closest to
Absolutely.
the real
For
deal.
the Bronx, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
MC Shan was part of a legendary super group called the Juice Crew.
Yeah.
And they came out with a record in the late 80s called the Symphony
Yes.
with Master Ace, Kool G Rap, Big Daddy Kane, Craig G. What was it like in Queens when that record hit? That set the tone for Posse records, probably even to this day.
Right. That was crazy, man, because G Rap spanked everybody's butt. I think, he was adamant. I mean, he and I were like the best two rappers in the neighborhood. So, we would always talk about battling this legend and that legend and going at cats all day, everybody had that battle mentality. And that's what I'm saying. KRS was going at the right person because the right people would have tore him a shreds. He would have got destroyed contrary to his thoughts. But G was ready to battle any. That dude had rhymes for everybody. Kumo D, anybody who was considered the big dogs at the time, he was ready to go because he wanted to make his bones. He wanted to be seen. So when they did that, he was like, yo, every shot I get, I'm going to do my best and try to show out. And that's what he did. He was ready for it. Just like the record with him and Kane. They did that on Raw when Kane was working on Raw, and they did that little back and forth thing together. He had something ready, and Kane got busy on there, and he was just on some next level stuff when he came right behind him. So, but they were boys. Them two dudes, challenged each other. He had the utmost respect for Big Daddy Kane. So it was dope though. Everybody loved it. Everybody loved all parts. But to just hear G Rap perform the way he did in the neighborhood, it was a big thing for us.
Man, incredible, man. Do you have any records that you are rhyming on with G Rap? I know production wise, yeah, but as far as MCing, did y'all do anything in the early days?
So there's like some comical stuff on Wanted Dead or Alive. There's a track called Jive Talk, and at the very end of the record, I come on and start rapping, and then the song, I get a couple of bars in, but then the song fades off. But we were just in the studio bugging out, me and him and Large Professor. Large Professor's on the floor banging the floor with drumsticks. But the odd thing from that, after it got released, G had Biz and a few other people telling him, asking who was that rapping, if they wanted to sign me. And I didn't think nothing of it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, LL was always calling labels, wanting to get me on. And then Eric B was looking for a new rapper too. Not that anything was going on with him and Rakim. He was in a position to sign people, and he was looking for someone. And G Rap, everybody, he was touring with LL, so my circle was around him a lot. And it was like, yo, you got to see Butcher, like he's nice. But I was watching the scene. I wasn't really too impressed. I was seeing some things I didn't like because I didn't drink or smoke or do anything, and I was seeing a lot of drugs and a lot of things flying around that I just didn't really want to be involved. So I kind of stood back and then started pursuing the the turntable aspect of hip hop a little more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's dope, man. So you got into DJing, what was that like? I mean, do you remember like that first feeling when you rocked that first jam?
I had always been into DJing. I came up under the real Cut Creator, not Kool J. The Cut Creator with Kool J was like his road manager. So when Kool J was down with us, he would come out to Corona and we'd go to the real Cut Creator's house. The real Cut Creator was crazy. He was like the original turntablist. He was real crazy. He, smart guy. He went to Brooklyn Tech. He was so smart. He was one of the guys that people would pay to take their state exams and stuff, at Brooklyn Tech. So, and how hard it is to get in there. So, he was really trying to be an engineer and stuff, but he was crazy on the turntables. And him and my man AC Vinny Vince were like beasts. And so I coming up from watching those guys and then just studying everybody else, DST, Flash, the Disco Twins. I had a lot of stuff in me, and when I started getting into it, when I was in college is when I started. I had when they bought me some turntables, and I just kind of secluded myself. And I would go out to the DMCs to see what the temperature was with all the cats and stuff around the country. And once I saw that, I knew what to do, and I just went home and just developed my own skills. And then cats started hearing me. I was messing with Juju from the Beat Nuts. He was telling dudes about me and stuff, and when cats heard me, they was like, this cat is crazy. Premier, DJ Premier, DJ Riz, a lot of cats would come to the crib to check me out. So, you know, utmost respect. You know, and I met Rob Swift, Sinister, all those guys, Rock Raider. You know, so it was kind of crazy.
So you said something real crucial that a lot of people in hip hop may not know. Did you say that the cut creator that I think the masses and I came to know and love, that LL always shout out on his records, and that we seen in the Bad video with E-Love, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace.
Yep.
I know he transitioned recently as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
are you saying that person in the Bad video and the person that LL was shouting out on Cut Creator, that's not the original Cut Creator? There's someone else?
Yeah, that's not the original cut creator. The original cut creator is my man Phil Remy.